everybody. Welcome to the Boss Woman Network podcast, where real conversations and bold impact. I am Leilani, and today we have a great guest here today, Miss Erika Johnson. She's a powerhouse strategist, operations consultant, and community builder. She's the founder of Culture Measures, a tech-enabled project management firm specializing in community engagement and the visionary behind the Blooming Collective Project, a nonprofit that supports women of color navigating life with autoimmune diseases like lupus, which Erika herself bravely lives with. She's a woman who turns vision into measurable impact and lives at the intersection of strategy, storytelling, and heart. Erika, we are honored to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for that introduction.
You are so welcome. That describes you perfectly, huh?
Well, it's weird when you hear it back, right? Yeah.
All right, well, let's dive right into our first questions. I have a few questions I want to ask her.
All right.
I was excited to have her on the show today. So tell us about your background. We see it spans in strategy, consulting, activism, and entrepreneurship. Can you walk us through how this path came together?
Oh, wow. I could say it's definitely an eclectic background. Um, Primarily, my background is organizational development, which means you assess the health of an organization. But I kind of came into this path kind of by happenstance. I've always been put in roles that allowed me to analyze organizations, and so to me, it's more of an innate ability to be able to go in, see the structure of an organization, and make improvements.
Oh, okay. Is that what you're doing for your own business?
Absolutely.
Oh,
So I took that my background and was able to translate that into my own business.
oh, cool. How I saw something online where you were talking about how you started out. Was it during COVID or something like that? You had to do a pivot.
Yes. So it actually was a little bit before then. So I used to work for a major retailer. Um, and I won't say their name, but it was a really toxic environment. My team was great within itself, but it was very, a lot of misogyny, and especially as a one of the few Black people that were there.
Oh, it happens.
There were a lot of barriers and obstacles that I faced. But our team was responsible for the health of the organization. I was over industrial engineering, the IT department. And so we would go in and make process improvements. And sometimes people are just resistant to that. And so it came to a point where they were talking about making layoffs. And that's what happens sometimes with OD, where we make layoffs and then sometimes our department gets laid off as well. So I knew it was coming. I saw the signs, and being within that role, when they're getting ready to downsize. So every day I would come in and I would just be just a ball of nerves, like, oh my God, am I going to get laid off at this time? Personally, I was scared because I was going through a divorce.
Oh, wow.
And it was a very vulnerable period for me. So at the time I needed my job. But I've always been working on my side business. I never stopped doing that. And so it was a point where life kind of pushed me into the pivot, which I'm grateful for, because I don't know if I would have been brave enough to make that decision without that.
Yeah, that was definitely God stepping in, making you go ahead and take that leap of faith. Wow. So how did you handle that, going through a divorce, getting laid off from work? Because a lot of us women, we go through all these different struggles of being a woman. Do you have children?
Yes, I have 2 daughters.
Oh, so then being a single parent at the same time, that's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. I would say faith, honestly, because when I did get laid off, I ended up having to move into my parents' 1-bedroom apartment. Now, I was completely humbled, right? Because my friends around me, they're buying their homes. Some people are buying their second homes. Everybody's doing good. And I'm ashamed to say, I'm starting over, and then navigating with a new business, a new arena, not knowing what's coming next. When you're a 9-to-5er, you know that paycheck is coming every 2 weeks or whatever the pay schedule is for you. But when you're an entrepreneur, you have to create your own opportunities, and that's a lot of pressure.
That is.
It is. And so But I felt like it was a shedding season. I
Hmm.
felt like if I stayed in that marriage, which wasn't supportive, I wouldn't have walked into the opportunities that I have now. And sometimes you have to allow yourself to get stripped completely bare so you
Hmm.
can rebuild and see yourself and rebuild the life that you want.
Wow. Because I mean, you look great.
Oh,
So from
thank
what you've
you.
been through, it looks like I see a ring on your finger.
Yeah.
So it looks like you've already gotten remarried again.
I did. I got
Wow.
remarried, and it was, I mean, it, I'm almost lost for words because it was definitely timing in God. And what I didn't add in is that while I was rebuilding my business, my daughter got really sick. My oldest daughter, she also has an autoimmune disease.
Really?
So I essentially built an office in her hospital room. And so that's when I met my now husband during that period of
He
time.
worked in the hospital.
He didn't work in the hospital. It was through mutual friends, but it was during that
Oh,
period.
okay.
And he would just bring me food to the hospital. And I just, I didn't know his intentions, but I was like, okay, it's fine. But it was no pressure. He was like, I know that you're dealing with your daughter. Can I bring you some food? Do you want me to come downstairs and just drive you around? Because it's a lot of pressure. And so, I mean, he just came at a time where honestly, I had committed to just being single and just working
Right.
on my business. But that's another example of letting God just operate and you just getting out the way.
Wow.
Hmm.
Single mom, laid off, daughter going through illness.
Yeah.
Then, how long was it before you met your new husband?
So, let me see. So it was in between that period of time. He was, again, the gentleman that was offering to bring me food or whatnot. And then we had decided to kind of take it slow or whatnot. Especially coming out of a divorce, I just wanted to take my time. But I would say that he was instrumental in me really getting that sense of balance in this new chapter of my life, being a supportive partner. I think the person who you marry is the most important decision
That is so true.
that you can make in your entire life because they can make or break you. In my previous relationship, I just kept hitting walls. There's something about being evenly yoked,
Hmm.
you know what I mean, that really propels you forward. Now I feel like I'm more of in alignment and flow.
Hmm. I
And then to
see.
me, you really can maximize it, just optimizes your opportunities. Not saying that you have to be married to be successful, but when
Right.
you do have a partner that supports you, to me, it just mobilizes you in a different way.
Yeah. Most definitely. You hear that, ladies? There is no need to give up on the faith because I know a lot of women, sometimes they be a little afraid going through divorce, thinking,
Hmm.
gosh, we're getting older. It's going to be hard to find somebody else.
Hmm.
The single life, lonely kids, and everything. You found somebody that came in, got married already, accepted your babies
Yeah.
and everything. So that's a blessing. So that means don't give up hope, step out on faith, and just believe in yourself and go for it.
Absolutely. And don't let people speak over your life. There's so much negativity online about high value this. If you're divorced, nobody wants you. If you
Yeah,
have kids, nobody wants you. If you're a certain age, nobody wants you. And
right.
I firmly believe like in the power of words. I do. You cannot allow people to speak over your life.
That's right.
You can come from any circumstance and rebuild yourself. But if you internalize that narrative, you're going to meet that person with that energy that you're not worthy and you're going to repel that person.
Oh, wow. I love it. You heard it. And that's what the Boss Woman Network is about. Showing women that we can overcome because we women, we go through so much
Yep.
as women. So the struggles it just seems like the struggle is just tenfold because we handle and manage so many different things and aspects of life that I don't even think men fully understand
No.
how much we actually navigate as far as life. But so tell me, how did lupus come into play? Did you knew you had lupus when you were going through all that as well?
No, so I had signs, but I did not know that it was actually lupus. And so in 2021, And just to give you some insight, when I jumped out into entrepreneurship, it was essentially in a partnership, right? We essentially had different visions. The company was successful, but we decided to go different ways. And so Lupus came at a time where I was completely stressed out because, again, here's another pivot,
Yeah.
I didn't, I thought I was comfortable and was going down this path. And then, life is, you just have to be obedient to that call that you get, whatever that message is. So at the time, I noticed that my hair was starting to thin, my fingertips were sore, and I noticed that I was really fatigued, and I just couldn't figure it out. Extreme brain fog, and so I have an excellent doctor who was able to listen to me because oftentimes Black women are dismissed
Right.
when it comes to our health. And so she said, unfortunately, I think you have lupus. Yeah, and it hit me like a ton of bricks because I'm like, okay, my daughter's now well out the hospital. I'm rebuilding this business. And when you're an entrepreneur, it's all on you. I couldn't have, and I wasn't married at this time. We were still dating. So I wasn't necessarily leaning on my partner in that way and didn't want to lean on him at the time in that way. So when you're down, I'm thinking, this is it. My business is about to crash because I can hardly get out of bed in the morning. I can't show up the way that I used to show up. And it was probably one of the most stressful times of my life.
Wow. So, what strategies did you take to get back to your normal self?
I think I did have to refine what success looked like for me and stress. So I know for me, people always ask me, well, what's the goal of your business? I don't necessarily have to be this $1 billion business. I have a magic number, a happy number in my mind. I have a unique set of clients that I've known for years that I work with, and that works for me. You have to know what's in your capacity and what you want to do. And to me, I have a very niche business. And I really don't advertise as much as more political back end processes. Really, word of mouth referral is my business, and that's comfortable for me. But I had to define what success looked like, so I'm not out there grasping at every opportunity, grasping for straws, stressing myself out, and really just being in a flow.
So, health wise, for somebody that's battling lupus and maybe not knowing how to get back to feeling like themselves again outside of work, what did you do? Did you start working out? What did you start? Did you have to change your diet? What did you have to do?
I started walking more. And they say lupus is really triggered by stress. And I firmly believe that. I started walking more. I started watching what I was eating as far as not necessarily just for vanity purposes, but like, what artificial ingredients are in my food? What am I taking in too much caffeine? I wanted like there to be harmony within my body because to me, lupus is a manifestation where your body is just attacking itself because it's just so off balance. I started taking lion's mane supplements, which to me, I'm not a doctor, so if you have lupus, you need definitely follow your doctor's orders. But for me, lion's mane helped me with my cognitive abilities because the brain fog was just too intense. And then as an analyst, you got to be sharp. You got to go. And to me, I needed something to help me through that process because I was so used to just firing
I'm
off.
gonna take some lion's mane to help you with your.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah.
we go through brain fog anyway. So goodness.
Yeah. And then I have a good team of doctors, and I started Benlysta. If I did not, if I didn't respond to that, the next step was chemo.
Oh no, I didn't know you had to do chemo with lupus.
You do. If your body does not respond, the next step is chemo.
Wow.
And so I didn't want to do that. And so I'm so grateful that my body responded to Benlysta.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good. Okay. Culture measures and focus on turning good intentions into measurable results. What inspired the concept and how does it work in your practice?
Um, Several things, right? I notice when people do, and I'm really community outreach centric, right? If it doesn't have a purpose for me, I don't really connect with the word. I'd rather turn it down if it's going to be something that I'm not connected to. And what I notice is that when people develop or entities have community initiatives, there's no measurement there. They just push out a program without intention, and then the ROI is not what they expected. And so connecting culture with strategy, really understanding what makes people tick, is really the source behind and the reason behind culture measures.
So is that that is your that's the brand that you're working on right now?
Yes.
So give me an example of that.
So community outreach, let's say if say organization is saying we don't have a connection with the community. What can we do as far as outreach? It's really going in, doing like an assessment. It may be a focus group. It may be a polling that we may do to see what the sentiment is on the ground. What is your perception of this organization, right? Really get feedback. Giving that back to the organization as far as results, saying, hey, this is the sentiment out there in the community. This is what they're saying about your organization, or it could be a candidate, whomever, right? Entertainer, insert, whatever person there. And then having tangible solutions so they can build those connections. It may be food banks. It may be outreach initiatives about important issues that really impact that community, but building that bridge.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. I love that. So how do people get in contact with you if they want your services?
I have a website online. It's culturemeasures.com. They can fill out a form. They can email me. And I like to do a one-on-one call to make sure it's a good fit, make sure that the goals are aligned as far as, and if it's even tangible, right? I don't sell people dreams, and I'm very blunt. And so I do like to have that one-on-one call to really see, how can we meet the goal, but email and through my website as well.
Okay, y'all heard that. Connect. You've said structure and empathy go hand in hand.
Yeah.
How do you balance your strategist mind with your deeply personal mission?
I think at the end of the day, people have to remember you're not looking at an org chart, right? And you're not just looking at an organization. It's comprised of people. And we all have different motivations, right? I can't come into an organization and assess it if people are at different demographics, right? If you're an 18-year-old starting, your motivation is going to be different than a 65-year-old that's getting ready for retirement, right? So really having empathy for people and understanding what moves them and building that into the structure. So many times I have went in and people want to make cuts, and I'm like, hey, these are people's livelihoods. Or you want to demote this person, that's going to affect the productivity. Do you even know what they do? So bringing in that human element to change. So in reminding oftentimes stakeholders who are removed from the process that you're dealing with people.
That's good, because a lot of times people in the organization, their management, their leaders, but they don't really think about the people, the employees, the impact. So you come in and really strategize and show them all the small details that they need to really be focusing on that matter.
Right. And I being a frontline worker, started off in the admin positions. I believe those are the bones of your organization.
It is.
Like you have to have the same respect for the smallest position in your organization as a CEO. I mean, everybody makes it run. And I love the fact that I come in and my approach is to remind people that everyone matters within your organization.
I think that's amazing that you went from admin to now you just the boss. You come in and just look, this is what you need to do. This is not right. This is this and this is okay. We need to switch this whole thing around. No, you don't need to fire. We need to add more people.
It was, and I love coming from the ground up because you get to see everything.
Yeah.
You get to see and you really understand it. So when I'm coming in, I'm not coming in as better than thou, and I've never moved a piece of paper. I know what it's like to be up and making sure that I'm getting my deliverables done for my boss and showing up, and people not respecting me because of my position. I understand all those elements.
Right. So did you go to school to be an analyst? Is that what your degree is?
Actually, no, I didn't go to school to be an analyst. And here's the thing. A lot of my peers actually had their doctorate, and I actually did not graduate from college.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I would have thought you did.
No, and actually it's something that I have struggled with, and something that has caused me to have what do they call that when you the term when you want to show up, but you're kind of you feel like you're out of place. Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. We've been talking about that a lot lately. Yeah.
Because I'm at the table with people.
You know what? We're gonna take a quick break. Hold that thought. We're at the table with people. 1 second, y'all.
Hi, I'm Leilani, owner of Home Living Solutions, and our goal is to help you with your home living needs. Today, we're talking about 3 reasons why buying a home would be a better option. And those 3 reasons are home ownership, appreciation, and building wealth for your family. For more details about home buying tips, check out my free ebook. Head on over to homelivingsolutions.com.
Sign up for the Boss Elite package today. Unlock exclusive benefits designed to elevate your brand and presence. Free 1-page website feature in 1 interview and guest host 3 segments of the BWN podcast. 1-hour monthly session at the Content Creator Lounge to shoot your content 1-hour consultation on how to start and shoot your podcast. Your name, photo, and logo featured on the BWN website and more. Ready to take your business to the next level? The Boss Elite package is your key to building your brand and expanding your reach. Join now and become part of a powerful network.
All right, y'all. We are back. I'm Leilani. We're still sitting here with Miss Erika Johnson. And we're just going to pick back up where we left off with imposter syndrome and how we end up having that and having to work through it. So tell us about that.
It was difficult for me. OD is a field where people have their doctorate. Right. So my peers are coming in and they have all these accolades, and I've really have gone up the ladder just based off my work ethic. Mm-hmm. And so when people meet me, I always feel like I have to prove myself because I don't come in. But what I've also noticed is that just because you're pretty on paper doesn't mean that you can actually get the work done.
That's true.
So showing up in those spaces and just reminding myself that I belong there has been something that I've been challenged with, because I didn't take the traditional route. But if you look at most people who are really successful,
they don't have college
degrees. Don't have them. They think outside the box, right? And so that's something that I had to remind myself. But as a Black woman, in corporate, in this arena, which is, as a consultant, is very male dominated, you have to come there which as your best self. If not, people are going to tear you apart. So there's almost not even room to have imposter syndrome,
right,
to some degree, because you're not going to last. But to be honest, it has been something that I've battled with.
How do you handle it? Do you do pep talks in the mirror before you go in the room, or?
I do pep talks. I have my anchors where sometimes I have my list of accomplishments and I read through them just to kind of ground me. I remind myself that we're all people. I mean, I've had clients who were Harvard grads, and they're coming to me for advice. And so I have to remind myself that, and honestly, I'm spiritual. So God wouldn't put you in a room that you're not supposed to be in.
That is so true. I really believe in that. And to be honest, a degree, I'm not going to say it's just a piece of paper, but it is a piece of paper. It opens the doors for you and gets you in certain rooms that you probably wouldn't be invited in some cases, or maybe a lot of cases. I do have my master's degree in business, but I can't say that it has totally helped me in areas. You know what I'm saying? Like I teach my kids, they're homeschooling. Like, you're not going to remember anything from elementary school, middle school, and high school other than how to read, how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Everything else is going to be a blur, because when you think about it, what do you remember from middle school, high school, other than those basic things that we use on a regular basis, and how to write?
Absolutely.
And even in college is the same. It's mainly about the network that you meet while you're in college, because you don't really remember anything that you learned while you're in college. All these classes, math, statistics, and all that stuff. You don't really remember any of that stuff while you're in school. Once you're out, the only thing I remember is about networking and marketing. How to, you got to market yourself, and then research and stay on top of technology. Yeah. And you learn that hands-on. Just being in business as an entrepreneur, that in order to keep up with the trends, you got to stay on top of technology, or you're going to get left behind.
You do. And I would say this, like, if I could, in a perfect world, if I can go back, I would have loved to finish school. And actually, I still take courses to keep myself abreast of what's going on in the industry. But for me, being a mom at 19, life just started happening. And went into my career early and I was progressing in my career. So I was left with the challenge of, okay, well, do I pause now? I have a child. Do I go back to school? What do I do? But sometimes life advances us where we have to make hard decisions. But I do push education on my daughters. I do think that it's something that is fundamental, even just building a culture and a network around you. I just wished I would have had that opportunity. Life just had different plans for me.
Yeah. I definitely, I'm not going to say I don't push college on my kids because I don't push all the debt, the potential debt.
That's true.
I feel like you can learn everything with a great mentor, doing the research on your own, and just making sure you stay knowledgeable and make sure you connecting with the right people, putting yourself in the right rooms, because that's basically all you're doing once you get out of college. Just knowing how to network, that is the main thing, and knowing how to research. Pretty much, because I feel like you're just as knowledgeable as somebody that went to a 4-year or master's or doctorate degree or whatever. It's the hands-on experience that you learn from after you finish school. You still got to learn the hands-on experience.
That's true.
And you have gained all of the hands-on experience to do your job better than somebody that's coming out of school with a degree. So I forget that imposter syndrome, girl. You don't need to worry about that imposter syndrome. You stepping in the room like, look.
It's about that grit and that tenacity that you have to have. And I think that's where the rubber meets the road. I've noticed with a lot of people when it's time to really figure things out, there's a line there where some people just kind of give up. If it's not paved and clearly expressed, they're like, I'm done with this. But just pushing through and executing, you would beat a lot of people. You would cut ahead a lot of people just by being able to execute.
That's inspiration. That should be inspiration to a lot of women. College is great, but that don't mean you can't go out there and start your own business and be successful, because starting your business, how long did it take for you to start generating an income from the time you started?
Actually, okay, so I was doing my business consulting on the side while I was working. I always encourage people. I will never tell somebody just up and quit your job, right? You gotta pay the bills, right? And then you don't want that nervous desperation energy when you get the clients. Like, oh, this gotta work, because you're gonna show up different.
They're gonna feel that.
They're gonna feel that. So you want to kind of tiptoe in there. And honestly, I would say I doubled my income when I got laid off. I doubled my income probably within 3 to 6 months. 3 to 6 months. It was.
Wow.
And I would say that because I had already had somewhat of a client base, and once I started doing it full time, then my revenue doubled. But it's because they were familiar with me while I was working. I was building that network. So don't think that you have to just up and quit your job to start something. Start now. Like, even if it's one person, if, let's say, for example, you do an event planning business, do one event a month. If that's what you do, if you have something full time, just start. If you don't start, then you're never going to get there.
I tell people all the time, just start. Take the steps. The rest of them are going to come as you go.
Absolutely. And I would say this, like, I didn't have, I remember when we started our partnership, the website was basic. Sometimes you can obsess about, well, I don't have the perfect logo. My website isn't this, or I don't have this. Just start.
Yeah.
And
some people don't even have a website.
Exactly. And not saying those things aren't necessary for your calling card, but just starting the work is key. And honestly, it was like the less investment up front was my most successful business.
Wow. That is so cool. So what is your strategy? I know you say you don't really have to get out there and network, but when you were starting your business and when you had to go ahead and pivot and go full time, how were you getting new clients? I know you had older ones, but how were you gaining the new clients?
Really, it was word of mouth. So as a consultant, people have to trust you.
Okay.
They have to know that you're going to get it done. And within this arena, which when I first started off was more political, they have to be able to trust that you're going to be confidential. They have to know that you're going to meet your mark, and do what you're going to say. And you'll be surprised that most people kind of fall on the wayside when it comes to that. I would say more so in the political arena. I don't have any political aspirations. So they're comfortable to have me in the room because they're not, I'm not going to go tell the opponent or run against them or whatever that may be. I'm very confidential. I know how to reach my clients in a way where you find what motivates them and work whatever works for them.
Right.
But honestly, to gain new clients, it's always been, for me, fortunately, just word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Wow. It's the best kind.
Yeah.
You're not out there creating flyers. You're not out here sending out newsletters. You're not out here just marketing. It's just straight word of mouth. That means that you do some really great work.
I would have to say I do. And I've been fortunate. Even so, like, it's, I guess the relationship that I have with my clients is really just, it has to be intimate, right? As far as like seeing them at their worst. They have to be if you're going to hire a consultant, you have to be vulnerable. Like, you have to say, I don't know what I'm doing. This isn't working for me. And you have to allow somebody to come in and really help you fix those areas that you're not comfortable in. So it creates more so a bond. And so I really do appreciate those who allow me to come in and trust me, knowing that I'm coming from a good place, and knowing that. And I always tell people, when I take on a project, it's as if it's my own.
That's good.
You know what I mean? So if I wouldn't do it for me, I wouldn't do it for them per se. So I think that that's got me a long way. And so with that level of care and service, you can't have a huge clientele. There's not enough of me to do that. So I have a very small group. And if I onboard somebody new, it's typically vetted, or, I know them through a network, because all business is not good business. I will repeat that. All business is not good business. You just have to be mindful of your ideal client and stick with that.
So do you work with large corporations or small companies?
I work with both. So I work with sometimes, and I've kind of scaled back on this, political clients.
Okay.
I work with entities. I work with corporations. And it's typically interfacing with like the community outreach development department or whatnot. Again, that community centric part is what I'm associated with.
Okay. Tell us about the Blooming Collective Project. What is that, and who is it for, and why it matters so much to you?
That's my labor of love right there. It's a nonprofit that I started. It's my baby. It's not even a year old yet. And I started it because when I got diagnosed with lupus, the first thing I did was try to look for a community. Because I want to know, how is it affecting a person, everyday person, mom, wife, business owner. I want to go on TikTok and see, are people still working? Are they able to work out? What does life look like for them? And I noticed that the resources, especially for women of color, were limited. When you go online, it's all these horror stories. And then if you ever look at, I know people have gone on WebMD, or you go on TikTok, you go down a hole or whatnot, and if you see a lot of dark stories, you'll begin to internalize that, well, shoot, am I going to be okay? So I wanted people to see other women in community with autoimmune diseases being able to live life, being able to thrive. I hate the term survive. We want to thrive, we want to bloom. And so the Blooming Collective Project is a way for women to have community and to be able to share resources while battling an autoimmune disease.
I love it. So you created the community. You were looking for one. You was like, okay, well, I'll just create it myself.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Absolutely.
So have you had women to join your community yet? So
I've had women to join, and what really touches me is when I do post, and I've gotten some feedback from family, because I'll post pictures of my scars when I lost all my hair, and my mom was like, Erika, do you really want to push yourself out there like that? I was like, well, I think people should see behind the curtain. Like, I was really in a bad spot. But then if they see me today, I think someone even told me that, I didn't even think you had lupus. I said, yeah, I have lupus.
Wow.
I do.
Because you definitely, well, I guess you take care of yourself really well to the point where it doesn't even affect you like that.
Yeah, it's been a journey. I haven't always been here per se, but that's the reason, that's the goal behind the community, that I want people to see that you can still have life after
Right.
this. Yeah.
So does it like hit you in spells, or do you just get sick some days, or just months go by, or as long as you're taking care of yourself, you don't ever have any issues?
It's the fatigue that really is hard,
Okay.
especially when you're a person like me that likes to go, go, go. Another thing that's hard is that you're not supposed to be in the sun.
Oh, I didn't know
You're
that.
not.
Oh, but you, as a matter of fact, I think I saw on TikTok you were at the beach and
Yeah. And I love the beach and I love water, but and I'm better now. I remember the first time when I was newly diagnosed, I went to Hawaii, was out, and I had literally went back into my hotel room and was crying. My body, I felt like my body was like a ball of nerves.
Wow.
And it was so painful. I couldn't get out of bed, and we're traveling with the group, and they're just like, well, why is Erika just up in the hotel room?
Oh.
But I didn't want to leave with, okay, well, I'm sick, guys, because then it becomes a conversation on why you're on vacation. So I've learned to kind of navigate that. But the reality is I'm not supposed to be out in the sun. So there's some adjustments that I have made, but it's just the fatigue that sometimes gets me, the pains, like the aches and pains, the joints or whatnot. And so when that comes up, I just have to, okay, Erika, you have to relax, or
So
you need
know how to handle it.
you need to take your Benlysta shot and then deal with it.
Did I see, I'm not sure if that was you, but did you buy a property out in another country somewhere?
I did. So we took a leap of faith, and I was telling my husband, I was like, we need to get this before this election, because I feel like people are going to rush overseas and start buying property. And actually, they started buying because our property has gone up in value since we purchased it. So we I was online and I saw somebody, and I don't want to mispronounce his name, but he had a YouTube video and he was showing how easy it was to buy a property in Belize.
You bought a property in Belize. Was it expensive?
No. Well, I would say this. It's not expensive. Well, it's not that it's not expensive. It's just easier to get because they don't have the traditional credit process that we have here.
Really?
So as long as you have the percentage down, you can get the property.
Really? Wow. So how many bedrooms did y'all get? Was it a condo or a house?
Well, actually, it's land. I'm saying property, but we buy a lot of land.
Land. Oh,
we buy land. And so we plan to develop it, but there's a lot of things happening around it. You have, I think, a Four Seasons is being built.
Oh, wow.
They're building an airport. And we're letting all of that, development happen.
They may want to buy it from you and get y'all a lot of money.
Exactly.
Whoa, that was smart.
Yeah. So the properties around us have went up, at least I think 2 lots down have went up about 30 or 40,000.
Wow.
And we haven't had the property for a year. The land for a year.
That's a great investment. Wow. So how did you end up finding it?
I was looking at the YouTube video. They have a nice Remax agency out there, which made me feel comfortable because I'm comfortable with Remax here. And it was just, really hands-on service. I could hit up my agent now and ask him a question, and he's responding within 5 minutes.
And you didn't even have to be there. Y'all did everything here and then went out there.
We did. And when I went out there, it's like a community of Americans, Black Americans out there who were also touring land and buying land as well out there, buying property. And we were all, talking and exchanging ideas. And there's a sense of community out there.
Oh, cool. I'm going to talk to my husband about that.
Oh, yeah. I encourage everybody, because I'm telling you, people are really making some good investments out in Belize. And English is the official language. So you assimilate easy. There's a lot of Black Americans there, beautiful people. It's a vibe.
Really? We'll have to check that out. Belize. Man, we have to get our passports.
Yes.
I just knew it was Ghana or somewhere, because I know a lot of people trying to buy properties in Ghana too. Is that one of your next locations?
I've been thinking about it. I really have. I think we're going to see what Belize and kind of build this out a little bit more, and then see what Ghana has to offer.
Okay. So what kind of transformation or support do you hope women of color with chronic illnesses find through your nonprofit? I don't know if you said that already, but
no, I hope that they can see, and from the messages that I've received from women, just people being vulnerable and sharing stories.
Okay.
I don't think there's enough truth tellers out there, and I love when I get a message that says, I don't know what to do. I just got diagnosed. How did you get through it? And it's not necessarily a resource per se where it may be financial or this, which I am planning to offer grants to women who are struggling. But sometimes it's just sharing or having a real person telling you their real experience and feeding into people and just saying, you know what, you're going to be okay.
I love that. Because a lot of people, sometimes they don't want people to know. They may be embarrassed about it or ashamed to talk about it or don't want people to feel sorry for them and things like that. So that's great that you create the community for that.
And I'm glad that you said that because I'm like that where I even debated putting my diagnosis out there because I don't feel like, oh, you got lupus. I hate that pity energy because I don't like to thrive in victimhood. And not saying that you can't be down, but I don't want that to be the first thing. And so I thought about, well, how can I make this a platform where I can empower myself and empower people through it.
Through your actions, showing how you stepping and walking in your journey and running.
Absolutely, yes, they can see it.
Yes, they can see it. You mentioned that scaling and fear have been challenges. What have you learned about facing those growing pains?
Oh, wow. I would say, and my husband can attest to this, being an entrepreneur, fear is a normal.
Yes, it is.
You wake up with fear will wake you up in the morning, okay?
And it'll keep you up at night.
It'll keep you up at night because there's no roadmap.
Yes.
Right? And
no
so
roadmap.
Fear is something that you could either be consumed by it or it could be a motivator for you. So fear for me, I navigate that by really optimizing things or things that are really going into things I can control. So, okay, if I'm fearful about, whatever the income for this month, some other opportunities that I can see or invest in, or can I upscale this particular project in order to navigate that? And that's just one example, but just, I think fear it comes from feeling out of control. And so what I like to anchor on, even though I can't control everything, there's just some outcomes you can't foresee or control. But I like to look around me and say, okay, what can I control? And then let faith rest on that.
That makes sense. That is definitely the route I take too. Because that does alleviate the stress.
It does.
A lot.
It does.
Gonna take a quick break. We're gonna be right back, y'all.
I never felt like I fit in. No matter how helpful I tried to be, people always found a reason to have an issue with me. I've never had a group that let me be me, or even be honest about my struggles. But the soft life hustle gave me something I didn't know I needed: permission. Permission to stop performing. Permission to lead myself. Leilani's story showed me how to rise with grace, set boundaries, and grow in integrity. It's not about fitting in anymore. It's about finally feeling whole.
Hi, I'm Leilani, owner of Home Living Solutions, and our goal is to help you with your home living needs. Today, we're talking about 3 reasons why buying a home would be a better option. And those 3 reasons are home ownership, appreciation, and building wealth for your family. For more details about home buying tips, check out my free ebook. Head on over to homelivingsolutions.com.
Everybody, I am Leilani again, Boss Women Network, and we're still sitting here with Miss Erika Johnson. So we're going to pick back up where we left off. I want to see,
and I know this is going to sound cliche, but it is faith. It's honestly faith. I just feel like when your intentions are good and when you're aligning your gift with his purpose, with God's purpose, I feel like there's almost like a flow that you enter into where you meet the right people, or your name is mentioned in a room that you didn't even think that it would be mentioned in, or you have a solution to something that you've been hitting a wall against. I think that pushing through that with faith, because there's going to be things that you're not going to see. There's going to be outcomes that you're not going to be able to control. There may be sabotage, betrayal.
Oh my God, yes.
All those things come.
Oh, it does.
It does. It does. Family members, putting that seed of doubt. And if you don't have a strong sense of faith and a foundation, you're not going to make it.
True. So is that how you handle sabotage?
Yes. And I can get in my petty energy. I'm a Scorpio, so I got to pray and think about it. But you got to get out the way.
Ooh.
Because if you try to combat that, or if you give it too much energy, it'll take you off of your path.
It will, yeah.
It will. So you see it, you have to note it, you have to move around it, but don't sit in it. And other time, if you realize people are projecting, you won't take most things personal. And that's a quote that I love to use and to lean on, because you wonder, like, why would this person do that?
Yes.
I don't understand. They see me trying to build my business. Why would they, insert whatever that person's done? And you have to realize that's not about you.
They're struggling with their own battles.
Absolutely.
And they're taking it out on you.
Mm-hmm.
That is so not right.
No, it's not. And if you are starting a business, you're going to, whether it's a customer, whether it's a business partner, whether it's a family member or a friend, you're going to have some resistance.
Does your family support your business, friends, and everybody?
They do. But I would say, honestly, I don't even know if they know exactly what I do. I don't even know if they know exactly what I do. But you bring up a good point. I love this. I love that question, because online I see posts where people are upset that their families and their friends don't support them. But I always ask, is that your base?
Right.
Is that your target audience?
Yeah.
You're going to be mad all the time.
Yeah. I used to be one of those people, because I used to be mad. Like, they see I'm having a business and they're not even supporting it. They're not even sharing. All they do is hit the like button. Right. But then I got to a point to where I started thinking like that. Out of the billions and millions of people in the world, those 20 people or 30 people that know me, that's not even the people I'm trying to attract for my business. So I don't even hold family members or friends accountable anymore to that. I don't even, if they show up to an event, cool. If they don't, cool too.
Yeah.
That's not my target market of people that I'm trying to network to or promote to. So
absolutely. And it goes back to that vision, right? Knowing your target audience, being able to visualize that. And if you think about it, your family and friends probably won't fall underneath that category typically. I mean, you want them to be supportive, but that's when you have to have that innate ability, that motivation, that internal drive to really motivate yourself. And then honestly, it comes down to wanting to be validated.
Yeah.
When you feel that way, you have to ask yourself, okay, and I've struggled through this, like, why am I upset that they're not supporting me? Why do I need them to validate me? And so when you get down to the root of it, you can work around it and understand it's not really about them.
It's not about them. That's a learning process. Because it took me some time to get there too, because I used to take it personal. And then it just hit me one day. Why am I worried about them? That's not even the people I'm marketing to.
Right.
They don't even they probably understand now because I've been doing it for some time, but I'm pretty sure they didn't even understand my purpose and what I was aiming for when I first started building my business.
Absolutely.
Family, friends, y'all good. All right. Okay, so
balance. And I know she's in the hot water recently because
is she?
So she is she's a CEO. She is partnered with the Kardashians, brands like Good American, Skims.
Oh.
Yeah, she's like the brainchild behind that. And what I like about her is her ability to take an idea and to build it into something bigger.
Okay.
And scaling is something that is a challenge for a lot of people.
Yes.
And I like her method, and I like the fact that she's a mother, she's a wife, and she's balancing all these elements and still showing up as a boss in rooms or whatnot. But I like people like her. I would say Martha Stewart.
Oh yes,
she's amazing.
Martha
Her documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Obama
Yes.
is one, and then Tabitha Brown
Oh, I
is
love
somebody
her
who I
too.
really
Yeah,
admire.
no, you really, because she had that sickness, but
Mm-hmm.
it turned out not to be a sickness. She was just stressed or going through a mental sickness.
She was going through something, and then she's taken her ability to be warm and loving where people trust her, and to create, she created this empire of businesses, hair care lines, food, you know, whatever. She's everywhere, clothing, and she's been able to make this dynamic business just off of making people feel safe and comfortable.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
that is.
Mm-hmm.
How do you show up authentic to make people gravitate towards you? Because you know we want to put up this I'm a boss, or I got the skills, I'm who I am, I can do what I can do, I can show you what I can do kind of person. But then at the same time, that authenticity part of it kind of takes a backseat because you're still trying to prove yourself that you can get it done. So how do you do that?
I think honestly, just meeting people where they are, and knowing what motivates each person, and being able to tap into that in a human level, right? So if I have a client per se that, let's say she's a mother, she's trying to balance it all, you know, being able to see her, you're not providing a solution, a one-fits-all solution for everybody, because that's not how we all show up.
Right.
And then to be able to see me operate in an authentic space. I think if I come in and I have my walls up, they're going to have their walls up. They're going to think that they have to perform because I'm performing. Right. But I always tell my clients, like, I'm blunt. I don't have a filter per se. I'm going to tell you how it is. Now, if you want somebody to sell you a dream, I'm probably not the person for you.
You straight up.
But I will tell you, I will be honest with you and give you my truth, but I also will give you a solution as well. And I think that helps people feel more comfortable, you know, in those spaces.
That was a good tip, ladies. Okay, so I guess I got one more question before we go. Have you collaborated with other female founders under your nonprofit?
No, but it's something that I want to do within a community. I've had, again, it's fairly new, so I want to definitely branch out. And I know that there's other women who are creators, who are also in this space, who are African American or women of color, who are battling lupus. And I'm hoping to collaborate with them in the future to build a stronger sense of community. So I'm open with it. I think that I love partnership. I love collaborative efforts. And so I think that's how you move the needle forward.
I do too. How do you know when you're collaborating with the right people? I know alignment, God, discernment, but that sometimes is hard to pick up on. Sometimes you have to go through something and pick up on it later, like, dang, how do you do that? Have you ever collaborated and run into some issues?
I have, and I think business is so intimate. Like it has to be a safe space for you to operate. And if you get one sign that something is off, you really need to trust your intuition. And it's evident in how people, I would even say, if you went out to a lunch and how that person treats the waiter is a key. There's always a sign when you're getting into partnerships and collaborations. You're looking at the core character of somebody. If they're gonna talk to the waiter like trash because they don't respect them because of their position, they're probably not going to respect you at some point. Or are they a social climber? Like, look at what motivates people. And I'm really big on intention. I'm really big on values. And I don't care what you bring to the table. If you are not a good person at the core, and not saying you have to be perfect, but if you are not, if you don't have integrity, I can't deal with you.
Gosh, that matters. Same for me. That's hard to find.
Yeah.
These women today walking around, not to talk about the ladies, because we have a lot of respectful women out there, but it's not always easy finding the right people to collaborate with in business. Probably for men too. Pretty sure they go through the same troubles, but that is definitely my motto. Your character, your integrity, what you stand for, what your values, you know, because I've run into issues trying to work with women and I didn't have that down as far as weeding out those things first. But I'm there now. So
it takes some time, and in every season it's different, in life. And I mean, when I was younger, I was looking more so for mentors, and I've had some hard lessons there and I think it all comes down to like people feeling like they're competing with each other, and that's a lack mindset.
Yeah.
That's a lack, because I feel like if you are on top of your game and I can partner with you, then those gifts will be shared with me, and then we can really multiply whatever mission.
Yeah.
I don't see it as competition per se.
Yeah.
But if you have somebody within your space, and oftentimes it's women, because we're taught to compete, against each other, then you have those situations where it's not going to work out because they're going to feel a certain way. When you step, if your light's too bright.
Yeah. That's the sad part about it. That's the sad part. And then you can't be vulnerable.
No.
Because sometimes they use your vulnerability as a way to attack you instead of being a way to be compassionate or have empathy or support towards you.
Absolutely.
Because maybe they look at your light as something different than theirs. So you're showing, because sometimes you want to open up if you're working with people. You want to be able to relate to each other and want to be able to talk about some of your struggles and things like that. But sometimes people waiting to hear your struggles.
Yeah, and they can weaponize it against you. And I was always, but one thing about leaning on your truth, if you put it out there, if you own it, nobody can weaponize that against you.
That's so true. That is so true. That's a word, y'all. So before we get out of here, tell everybody how can they find you again, your business names and how they can find you.
Oh, they can find me. I'm on social media. Erika Gibson, I believe, is my handles across all of TikTok and Instagram. Culturemeasures.com is my website. And the Blooming Collective Project, I have a Facebook group, and I also have a website, the Blooming Collective Project. So you can find me in all those places.
You'll find her, y'all. And don't forget to go to bosswomannetwork.com. All the episodes you'll see there. You can go to Spotify, Apple, Amazon. You'll catch it there too if you just want to ride and listen to it in your car. But don't forget to check out the bosswomannetwork.com, and you'll run into all the resources that we have to offer and to see this episode when it comes out. So thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you, Erika, for joining me today. It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed your being a guest today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for creating this space for women.
Yes,
it's so important.
Thank you. Well, until next time, y'all. Bye.